This is my recommendations for the best beginner bass fishing baits. I made this video to help you catch more bass without the headache of overly specialized equipment or techniques. In my opinion, a good bass bait for beginners has two key aspects. One, it's easy to use, and two, it catches fish. With those features in mind, let's jump into my recommendations. Note, I've added links to the top baits in each category in the description to save you some time. Starting off our list is the spinnerbait. A spinnerbait is a moving bait consisting of a weighted jig head with one or more spinning blades. Spinnerbaits are one of the top baits I hand to new anglers because they're so effective and are extremely easy to fish. Spinnerbaits are relatively weedless and work great with a straight, steady retrieve. Cast spinnerbaits towards cover like grass, stumps, and rocks in shallower water. Slow down your retrieve to let the bait fall in the water column, or speed up your retrieve to bring it closer to the surface. Spinnerbaits can be fished with or without a trailer. If you want to add a trailer, find a soft plastic bait in a complementary color and add it to your jig head. I'm partial to white spinnerbaits. The next bait on our list is a topwater frog. Topwater frogs are hollow body frogs that are worked along the surface. They make my list because they're one of the few baits that can be thrown in the thickest, sloppiest grass and weeds without immediately getting snagged. Many beginner bass anglers fish from the bank, and sometimes your only option is fishing in thick cover. As a bonus, topwater frog bites are generally explosive, memorable, and get the heart thumping. That said, there are two downsides for frog fishing for beginners. One, since the hooks are tucked in line with the body of the frog, topwater frogs tend to have a lower hookup ratio than other baits, which can be frustrating for beginners. And two, the ideal retrieve is what's called a walk the dog retrieve, where you twitch the bait as you're reeling it in so it zigzags back and forth to create additional commotion. This can be a little complicated for newer bass anglers. My next recommended bass bait for beginners is Texas rigged soft plastics. Texas rigging refers to using a bullet weight, an EWG or offset worm hook, and a soft plastic bait to make a rig that can be bounced and dragged along the bottom. Texas rigged soft plastics make my list because they're a great way to slow down with a more subtle presentation. There are thousands of soft plastic bait variations from worms to craws to creature baits on the market, so pick one that stands out to you. Texas rigs are relatively weedless, so once you're rigged up, slowly work the bait back to you along the bottom. If you're overwhelmed with choices, grab a 5-inch Senko or a creature bait in a natural color like green pumpkin. This setup works just about anywhere. If you're finding these recommendations helpful and want to round out your skills as an angler, check out our website for a free digital download of a knot tying ebook that includes easy reference diagrams showing how to tie the most critical fishing knots for terminal tackle, connecting leaders, and anything in between. Link in the description. The next recommendation is actually a class of baits called crankbaits. Crankbaits are another type of moving bait that is quickly retrieved back to the angler. The main differences with crankbaits are how deep they dive. The easiest way to tell how deep a crankbait dives is how big of a bill it has. Lipless crankbaits may only dive a few feet, whereas crankbaits with a huge bill may dive 12 feet or deeper during the retrieve. Try to match the diving depth of the crankbait to your water depth. You want your bait generally reaching the bottom of the water column. I like crankbaits for beginner bass anglers because you can cast them out, perform a straight retrieve, and cover quite a bit of water to find feeding fish without having to perform any fancy techniques. If you're new to crankbaits, I recommend starting with a square bill crankbait. They dive 3 to 5 feet and bounce off cover, which is perfect for beginners. My last recommendation for beginner bass baits is inline spinners. I feel like inline spinners were more popular with my grandfather's generation, but they're still just as effective today. They're another moving bait similar to a spinnerbait, but instead of the spinner being separate from the hook, the spinner is in line with the hook. Cast inline spinners along grass edges or near ambush points like rocks and submerged timber, and you'll catch bass waiting for an easy snack. In conclusion, these are my top recommendations for beginner bass baits because they're easy to fish with and are proven to consistently catch bass. If you have one of each of these in your tackle box, you're set up to catch bass in almost any condition. As a reminder, I've included links to some of the top baits in each category in the description as an easy reference. Drop a comment below if you think I missed any top baits. Check out the link in the description to a free knot tying ebook for the important fishing knots every angler should know. Hopefully this video helps you on your journey to become a consistent and effective bass angler. Thanks for watching.